I'd like to ask the Scottish Government what engagement it has had with the UK Government regarding the impact on agriculture and the food and drink sector in Scotland of the reported continuing delays to post-Brexit border checks on imports from the EU. Thank you,
Mr Fairlie. Cabinet Secretary.
On the 28th of April 2022, the UK Government made an announcement on further delays to the introduction of controls on imports from the EU without any consultation or meaningful engagement with the Scottish Government, failing to use any of our channels of communication. This kind of conduct just isn't acceptable. And on the 4th of May, I wrote to George Eustace expressing my deep frustration and concern regarding the continuation of biosecurity risks and the uneven playing field between Scottish importers and exporters following this latest delay. And I've urged the UK Government to begin meaningful dialogue on future borders policy.
Jim Fairlie.
I'd like to thank Cabinet Secretary for that answer. Recently, the NFUS President Martin Kennedy spoke in scathing terms of the prolonged failure of the UK Government regarding exports to Europe and how this showed an astonishing level of incompetence and failure to support the Scottish producers and our food and drink sector. Yesterday at the RAIN Committee, I put this view to Mr George Eustace, who cited the potential to exacerbate the cost of living crisis as the reason that the UK Government is giving for continued delays. Given that Brexit has been a driver of the cost of living crisis in the first place, does the Cabinet Secretary share my utter bewilderment at the UK Government using a crisis largely of its own making as a reason for not fixing a shambles that is also of their own making?
Cabinet Secretary.
The UK Government's announcement is the fourth delay to import checks on goods from the EU since Brexit, and for every delay, the UK Government have continued to ignore the uneven playing field that exists between our Scottish importers and exporters. Now, we've written repeatedly to the UK Government to highlight concerns around the effects of its bad Brexit deal, and just last week, the Cabinet Secretary for Finance wrote to the UK Chancellor, highlighting the damaging effects of this delay on multiple sectors, including specifically on our food and drink sector. And the food and drink sector in Scotland and the UK has borne the brunt of the hard Brexit deal pursued by the UK Government, and particularly through the loss of freedom of movement and free trade. And I also touched on the very real biosecurity risks that are presented by this in my opening response. And I'd actually met with Paul McLennan and one of his constituents who's a pig farmer. I've spoken to other pig farmers who are all seriously concerned about the devastating impact of diseases like African swine fever and the impact that can have if it reaches our shores. So I only wish that these concerns were treated as seriously as what they need to be.